Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to do our build on the Necron Chronomancer, which is the pre-release that I just got today. And if you want to see the box opening, that'll be up in the corner there. Just click on that and go to there if you want to see the box opening, what's all in the box. But my first step, it comes on 2 sprues, relatively simple instructions. So the first thing I'm going to do is, I think, cut out all the parts because they're all pretty much unique, and I don't have to worry about messing them up like you would if you were doing like warriors or any groups of things where you have to get the correct arm with the correct body. All this goes on one body. So I'm going to cut everything out and clean it all up and get it ready for assembly right now. Now I'm just going to turn off the flashing off of this and the front. And I think I'll put this together, let it dry while I turn off the flashing for the other parts. Now because you're dealing with rather thin parts here, you want to make sure that you have a good hold of the pieces. When you go see it, for example, I'm going to turn off flashing there. I should wrap my finger so that it has support around the whole thing. Because sometimes you think you're holding on to something, you have a very narrow part there and you end up breaking that part. So you want to try and avoid that, obviously. Thicker pieces that I have left on there, I generally will resort to the X-Acto blade to trim them up. And speaking of that, you want to try and use a new X-Acto blade every time you start a new model, so that way you don't have a dull blade. And you can get a couple hundred of them for not that much. So I like how they put the connection points on the flat part there where it's going to be sitting, so the glue won't actually melt that away. The designers at Gamers Workshops are really some of the best, no doubt about that. And there's our body right there. So I'm going to go ahead and get out a couple clips. Put some glue on that, glue that together, and let that dry while I work on the other stuff. Anytime you get glue on your hands, you want to wipe it off because you don't want to get it all over the model. That would be bad. I like how it has such a simple assembly, but it makes it for a complex piece here. So that's kind of nice. The next piece that will go on will be the backbone. So now I'll just trim up the rest of this flashing while that dries. The rest of the flashing off all the parts, I should say. And because I'm not sure what head I want to use, I'm going to go ahead and clean up all of them. Okay, so there are all my parts cut out, cleaned up, ready to go. So let's get this back in here. And we have a back that needs to go on. So we'll try that on first, make sure. And I missed a part right there. Next one right there so that you can see. Right there. I always hate handling small round pieces because those are the ones that tend to fly quickly, like that. So how many of you at home have that same problem where you get a piece and you got to take it to the edge, you get it in your hand, and you flip it off the table? I think I spend more time looking for stuff on the ground than I do actually assembling it. So once you get the right direction, even though it's kind of awkward to put this stuff on left-handed. Now, I don't know if you can see that, but I'm putting the glue in between the spots that line up on there so that I don't melt them and lose that alignment. Here we go. And what I'm going to do is go on to this last little sub-assembly and put this together. I have two other little squares I need to cut out right here that go on that sub-assembly right here, right at that point. Did not even see them. Some very small pieces that will be very frustrating. So we have our hand, goes onto the ball. GW obviously doesn't work with people with large hands. Let's get this a little bit closer. Sorry, you can't really see anything there because my fat hands. Refocus here, there you go. So you can see that gluing up right there. So that's the hand. Wow, that moves just a little bit. So that's the hand. You can see how small these tweezers here, which are self-closing, so that way that can sit there. And I'm going to let this sit for about 20 minutes and let that completely dry, because that's going to be a very fragile point. So any pressure on that is going to pop that off, and right now it's sitting there just perfect. So I want to make sure that dries completely. So I'm going to leave this alone for a little while and then pick it up after that. Okay, so while this one piece is drying here, I could actually glue this piece onto the staff that it goes onto, which is this one right here. So again, it's another one that needs to sit there for a little bit. Okay, so this is all dry, and this hand is all dry. And I guess I should have put this on had that sitting there getting dried too. There it is. Yep, so that's how it goes on right there. Just like that. Well, it works fine when you get it going the right way. I don't know if you can see that. My hands are in the way. Sorry, big hands all the time here. Let me just focus on this. There you go. All right, so anyway, have that glued on right down there. Seems like everything's in place. Like I said, I should have gone earlier with this because I probably should leave this sit here for a little bit before I play with the arms. So I will do that. Again, it's got a nice tight seal all the way around. So okay, so while that piece is drying there, I'm going to add on these two pieces, if I can find them now. Does this happen to other people? Do you guys lose pieces on the table? I do all the time. Wonder if I get knocked off. Okay, so after about 20 minutes of looking, I finally found it. So I can add that piece onto the side. That's the piece. See, I busted that, touching that. So I'll have to come back and redo this part right here. But I will do that after this cures. Let this one dry for a while. Sort of snaps in pretty good. Take a little trimming to get that glue out of there, but that should be good. Now I'm just going to leave it alone. So as you can see, anytime you're dealing with a lot of small pieces, it's always good to let pieces dry. As you see, I barely touched that one and it popped off. So it's always good to let everything completely dry before you start working on the next piece, which will be this hand right here. Okay, so I've let this dry for about 20-30 minutes and it's pretty solid. Even that one's pretty solid. So I'm going to continue on. My next step is to add this arm. So the idea here is if I can get that to attach just right on the first try, the glue will catch bond it and hold it. So of course, again, you can't see anything because the fingers are always in the way. But here we go. That should hold it. Let me adjust my focus here so you can see. Right there. And I'll just hold it here for about 20 seconds or so. Of course, that's a whole lot of fun for you to watch. But it always works out to just glue something, let it dry for a while, go on to something else. Now, generally when I have an army that I'm doing, I'll glue one part of one piece and then move on to the next one. By the time I get done with the 5 or 10 things, you know, depending on what group it is, I go back and I start all over doing the other ones. So it works out quite well. Now, when you have a character like this one, then you just have to be patient. You just have to glue it in there and let the stuff dry before you move on to the next one. Get rid of that hair there. So basically the last thing left to do really is to add the head. Yeah, it has all these heads here. Let me just set this down. Now, again, I don't want it to fall on that arm, so I'll put some weight there and let that arm just sit there for a while. But let me see if I can zoom in here. So all these heads have this little tiny hole in the back there. And there's actually a little piece that's on the back of this. Let me see if I can show you that. And that little piece is right there. And so that's where that little opening in the back of the head will fit in. So his head will be looking in this direction right here. So from the body, he'd actually be looking out this direction. So again, I'm going to let this arm dry pretty good, and then I will come back and put the head on, and this model will basically be done, ready for priming. Okay, so the final step is adding on a face to my guy. Let's see, that's the one that's on there on the actual picture. A little different. Kind of like this one. I think I'm going to go with this one. So let's see how difficult this is to line up with that. Not difficult at all. You guys focused in here so that you can all see how badly I can mess this up. And there we go. There is the head. The last part would be to glue it down onto the base, but because I still have the basing to do, I'm going to of course use sticky tack. Place him down, and there he is. We'll give you a nice view at the end, but that's the build on the Chronomancer. Hopefully you enjoyed that, and please stick around for the final glamour shots of it. But do subscribe and give this video a like if you liked it, and come back. We will have many more in the future. Thanks for watching.